In electric gadgets such as fan, washing machine, juicer, mixer, grinder, an electric motor is used to produce rotational motion by the use of electricity. Thus, electric motor is a device which converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. Electric motor works on principle that when an electric current passes through a conductor placed normally in a uniform magnetic field, it experiences a force and rotates in a direction governed by Fleming's left-hand rule or right-hand rule. Without going into detail of contact carbon brushes and external circuit, we can visualize the rotating action of a motor. So for this we will consider a current carrying loop. So here we will consider a rectangular loop. So here we will consider a current carrying loop like this. So this is a rectangular loop. A, B, C, D in uniform magnetic field. Now to create this magnetic field, we will use this magnet. So this is north pole of the magnet and another magnet at this position. So this is south pole. So this will create uniform magnetic field around this rectangular closed loop. So here the direction of magnetic field is from north to south. From here we will give the current positive to this terminal, so then current will flow from this direction to here and then here, and when it will comes here and then here and then here at this negative terminal. So we have placed this rectangular shape wire in such a way that the segment AB and CD of this loop is perpendicular to this magnetic field. Let vector F1, vector F2, vector F3 and vector F4 the forces exerted by experiences by side AB, BC, CD and DA respectively. So for this side the force experienced due to this magnetic field will be F1, due to this BC will be F2, due to this side CD due to this uniform magnetic field will be F3, and this DA will experience force F4. Let us obtain forces on all sides. The length of BC and DA, or we can say the current flowing through this BC and DA is parallel to magnetic field. So this arms feels no force. They will not experience any kind of force. So as we know from previous section that magnetic force is given by Fm, that is Q vector Vd, which is drift velocity, and in a cross product with the magnetic field. So from here we got one relation in terms of length of the wire, that is IL B sin theta n cap in the direction of the force. So the force F2 on side BC will be vector F2 is equal to I. So if I consider this as a L1, so this will be parallel to this L1. So this is also L1 and this is also L1. So I can consider this distance as L2. So I can write I, instead of capital L we will consider L2 B sin 90 minus theta. And the same force will be experienced by this if I consider this F2 force. So the force F4 on this DA will be equal and opposite to the F2, and both act along the same line as that of magnetic field. Thus, F2 and F4 will cancel each other. The length AB and CD are perpendicular to magnetic field. Therefore, the current in AB and CD is perpendicular to this magnetic field experiences force. We can either use Fleming left hand rule or right hand rule to find out the direction of magnetic force. Now, according to the Fleming left hand rule, what we know that according to the Fleming left hand rule, thumb will give you the direction of force, middle finger will give you direction of current, and index finger or this forefinger will give you direction of magnetic field. And if you are going to use right hand rule as I mentioned in Maharashtra textbook, so how to remember this? Obviously thumb will give you the direction of force. Now this time this index finger will give you direction of current, and this finger will give you, middle finger will give you direction of magnetic field. So in this case this is opposite. Now how to remember this kind of thing? So there is one shortcut which I think I can use, like just draw a circle and move in anti-clockwise direction. Move in anti-clockwise direction. So what from this, what we can say, suppose this is thumb, so F. Okay, this thing we have to keep this thing in mind, that is thumb will give you direction of force. Then after that current, and after that then magnetic field. So you have to move it in an anti-clockwise direction, whether you are using left hand or right hand, you just have to move in anti-clockwise direction. So you can use this initial symbols of this. Either you can remember FIB or you can remember NAT. So FIB, force, current, magnetic field, or unit of force is Newton, unit of current is ampere, and unit of magnetic field is Tesla. So if you are using left hand, so then you have to stretch your finger, then NAT or FIB. When you are using right hand, stretch your fingers, NAT or FIB, force, current, magnetic field, force, current, magnetic field. So there will be no confusion in this case. So you can use either left hand or right hand. So if I use left hand rule, Fleming's left hand rule, the force on this AB will be inward. How it will be? Force on AB will be inward. So this is the direction of current. The current is flowing in this direction. So if I am using left hand, which will tells me the direction of current, I know this will be the thumb will be the force. But first of all I have to make sure where is the direction of current. So NI. So this will tells you the direction of current. And this will give you the magnetic field. So magnetic field is pointing in this direction. So what I have to do? I will make it like this. Okay. So here you will find this is arm AB. Current is flowing in this direction. Magnetic field is flowing in this direction, and this thumb is going into the paper, means inward. And if I use right hand rule, okay, if I use right hand rule, what I said, NIT, move it in anti-clockwise, or FIB, fib. So where is the current is flowing? In up direction. Where is magnetic field? Toward this south. So make it like this. Now here this one is current, this one is magnetic field, and this thumb is showing inward. Okay, how this thumb is showing inward. So here you will find whether you are using Fleming left hand or right hand. If you will follow this procedure, you will never get confused. So the force on AB will be inward. So I can say this is inward, FM. Now in your textbook they have given two diagrams, but they are not matching with each other. Means on page number 237, figure number 10.10 and 10.12. In 10.10, current is flowing from A to D, and in according to your 10.12 diagram, current is flowing from A to, sorry, So in your Maharashtra textbook, in figure 10.10, current is flowing from D to A, and in figure 10.12, current is flowing from A to D. So that's why the both diagram are not exactly giving the same explanation. Okay. So here the force is inward. Now we will find the force experienced by side DC. So in that case, again we will going to use Fleming left hand or simply right hand rule. Suppose if I use Fleming left hand rule, what is here? Current is flowing in this direction. So Fi. So I is in this direction, magnetic field is in this direction, and here you will find thumb is showing upward. If I use right hand rule, again NAT. So current is flowing in this direction, so it's hard to make it. Okay, so let me do it in this way. So this current is flowing in this direction, magnetic field in this direction, and this thumb is showing force, magnetic force, which is upward. So force on CD will be upward. Okay, understood? So you may use either left hand or right hand. Now here we want to know, according to the Fleming left hand or right hand rule, the force F1 on arm AB is inward and the force F3. So this is force F1 and this is force F3 is outward. Therefore, the magnitude of forces vector F1 and vector F3 will be, now both will be same in magnitude but opposite in direction, so I can write only magnitude F1 is equal to F3 is equal to what formula we have? I. Now here this side is nothing but what? L1. What this side? L1. So this is L1 B sine. Now theta is, this is 90 degree perpendicular to this, so this is 90, and sine of 90 is nothing but 1, so you will get I L1B. So these two forces do not act along the same line, and hence they produce net torque. This torque results into rotation of loop, so that the loop is perpendicular to the direction of vector B, that is magnetic field. So if I consider this loop, and now here I have suppose the magnetic field, and due to this magnetic field, so this is north pole and this is suppose south pole, so the magnetic field will be like this. Now the current is flowing like this, so this is along the line of magnetic field, this side is along the line of magnetic field, that's why they will not experience any kind of force. So if I consider for this part, right hand, NI, that is fib, FIB, force, current, magnetic field. So magnetic field is moving in this direction, so this is upward, or the magnetic field, if magnetic field will be coming from this to this, means north to south, so then this I have to mention it like this, so it will become inward, just like that. So when you apply the magnetic field and when the current passes through it, when this current passes through it, so this will move downward. The force experienced by this side will be downward and this side will be upward. So it slightly get downward direction. It slightly move in downward direction. And the point when it will comes to at this point and this will comes to at this point. So the force experienced by this side gets opposite and they move like this. And so on, this gets start rotating. And that's why the electric motor start rotating. So if we want to find the moment arm, the moment of arm, so this is your actual position. Now it's move up to this. So from this horizontal they have made this much angle, correct? So if we use sine theta somewhere will be here from this central axis. From this central axis it will going to move like this from this surface. So if I see this horizontal like this, from central axis it will be look like this. So moment arm will be equal to half of L2 sine theta about the central axis. So due to this, torque is produced. So this torque due to the forces F1 and F3, and F3 will be tau is equal to, so due to F1, this is the force, that moment arm, so I can write I L1 B half L2 sin theta. I L1 B, this sin theta will becomes like this, half L2 sin theta, plus due to this F3, I L1 B, and this again half L2 sin theta. Then half plus half 1, so tau will be equal to I L1 L2 B sin theta. So if current carrying loop is made up of multiple turns, suppose that multiple turn is capital N, if we consider that multiple turn in the form of flat coil, the total torque will be, suppose tau prime, tau into N. So that is nothing but N, value of this tau, I L1 L2 B sin theta. And we know that L1 into L2 is nothing but what? Area. This is nothing but area. So if I substitute, tau prime will be equal to N I A B sin theta. So this is the torque produced by when there are n number of turns in flat rectangular coil. A current in circuit or a voltage of a battery can be measured in terms of torque exerted by a magnetic field on a current carrying coil. Analog voltmeter and ammeter works on this principle. Now we will study the cross-sectional diagram of galvanometer. So this is cross-sectional diagram of galvanometer. So first part is side view of galvanometer, and second part, this part is top view of galvanometer. It consists of coil of several turns mounted in such a way that it can freely rotate. So here you will find this yellow one is that coils, and they are fixed on a soft iron core, cylindrical core. So this red one is soft iron cylindrical core. The coil rotate due to torque acting on it as current flow through it. So this torque is given by tau is equal to N, which is number of turns, I, current flowing through this coil, and A, area of this first side and the second side, which is parallel to this side and this side. So we will get the area of this coil, and magnetic field. So the A is area of the coil, B is strength of the magnetic field, N is number of turns of the coil, and I is current flowing through the coil. So here theta is 1 as field is radial. The magnet which we have considered, they exert radial field. So that's why at every point the theta is 90 degree, and sine of 90 degree is nothing but 1. In this they have attached a spring. The spring is fitted, so which when the torque is produced in this coil, that get balanced, due to the spring fitted. This counter drop balances the magnetic torque, so that fixed steady current I in the coil produces a steady angular deflection phi. Larger the current is, larger is the deflection, and larger is the torque due to the spring. If deflection phi is restoring torque due to the spring equal to K phi, where K is constant of proportionality, so we can write tau is equal to K alpha, K phi, so K phi will be equal to N I A B. And the deflection phi, from that we will get deflection phi is equal to N A B divided by K. So this is the constant terms and we vary the current, that's why this is out of the bracket. So this deflection will be given by NABI by K. So this phi is proportional to the current. From this we will get phi is proportional to current. Larger the current, deflection will be larger and larger torque due to the spring. So modern instruments use digital ammeter and voltmeter and do not use such a moving coil galvanometers. So this is how actual galvanometer look. So here you will find this is positive terminal and this is negative terminal. So here we will check how it actually look. So it just has been pressed, so that's why it looks like this. So this is the indicator by which we will get our small deflection due to that applied voltage, applied current. So we will check how inside is actually look as we have seen in animation. So this is just for that calibration. So just here you will find. So here you will find this indicator which deflects according to the small current, and here you will find these are the rectangular shape. If you will see in this direction, you can see that rectangular shape, how does it actually look inside, and this round wires, circular wires, and here you will find this soft iron cylindrical core. This is soft iron cylindrical core. So it is responsible for strong and radially field. So for radial and strong field we have this soft iron core, and these are the magnet. Suppose this is north pole and this is south pole, so here we will find one magnet, strong magnet is here, and its shape become horseshoe magnet. So due to this shape we get radial magnetic field, uniform radial magnetic field.
Galvanometers is an electromechanical instrument used for detecting and indicating an electric current. It is a sensitive electromagnetic device which can measure low currents even of the order of a few microamperes. Galvanometers works as an actuator by producing a rotary deflection in response to electric current flowing through a coil in a constant magnetic field. Now let's talk about the constructional detail of the permanent magnet moving coil galvanometer. Permanent magnet moving coil galvanometer is made up of a two concave permanent magnet, where magnetic field is directed from north to south, and rectangular coil that has many turns, usually made of thinly insulated or fine copper wire, is wounded on a metallic frame, which is pivoted from both the ends. The coil is free to rotate about a fixed axis. This whole arrangement consists of two phosphor bronze hair-like springs. The first one is connected to a upper pivoted free end of the coil, and second spring is connected to the bottom pivoted free end of the coil, and both of these springs are fixed from the other end by the help of a binding screw. A cylindrical soft iron core is symmetrically positioned inside the coil to improve the strength of the magnetic field and to make the field radial. There is a very important reason for keeping the magnetic field radial, which we will talk about later in this video during the working of a galvanometer. Also, the pointer is mounted on a pivoted coil for measuring the angular deflection in the coil, and two ends of the coil are connected to the two terminals of the galvanometer. Principle of permanent magnet moving coil galvanometer. Permanent magnet moving coil galvanometer works on the principle that current carrying coil placed in a magnetic field experiences a torque. When the current is allowed to pass through the coil, current starts flowing from A to B in the left arm of the coil and from C to D in the right arm of the coil. As we can see in the animation, that in the arm AB, direction of the current is upward, and in the arm CD, direction of the current is downward. While the direction of magnetic field is from north to south, for both the arm AB and BC. Therefore, according to the left-hand Fleming rule, two couple of forces or torque starts acting on a coil, which will help in rotating of a coil and causes angular deflection of the pointer. At this time, hairspring comes into play and creates counter torque to resist any extra unnecessary deflection or damage of a very sensitive pointer, and always ensures the proper functioning of the galvanometer. Corresponding calibrated scale is provided for converting the angular deflection of a pointer in a microamperes. Now let's try to understand that why this radial magnetic field is needed. Here we have used concave shaped magnets to provide radial magnetic field, but why? Let's explore it. As we all know, equation of the torque in this case is NIAB sin theta, where N represents number of turns, I is the current, and theta is the angle between the magnetic field B and the area vector, which is always normal to the plane of the rectangular coil. It's very clear that sin theta for an angle of 90 degree is always 1. Let's move to the top view and try to analyze it. Now we can see that because of the radial magnetic field, for each and every positions of the coil, magnetic field and the area vector are at right angle, or theta equals 90 degree. Therefore, radial magnetic field provides constant torque irrespective of the rotation of the coil. This makes the deflection directly proportional to the current. Because N, A and B was already constant and now theta also becomes constant, that's why now current I is the only variable, which makes it easy to calibrate the instrument for the measuring purpose.